Shalom, friends. Welcome to our series of Women in the Bible. I'd like to share with you today the story of Rachel, or Rahel, her Hebrew name. In brief, I will say that Rahel is the younger daughter of Laban and the wife of Jacob, or Yaakov. She is the mother of Joseph and Benjamin, who become two of the 12 tribes of Israel. She spends much of her married life attempting to bear children for Yaakov and eventually uses her maid Bilhah as a surrogate. But Rahel still craves biological children. She and her sister Leah, also Jacob's wife, conspire so they both may have children with him, leading to the birth of Rahel's son, Joseph. Soon after, Rahel dies giving birth to her second son. Her early death makes her an image of tragic womanhood. After the biblical period, Mother Rahel continued to be celebrated as a powerful intercessor for the people of Israel. The younger daughter of Laban and wife of Jacob, Rahel is the mother of Joseph and Benjamin, who become two of the 12 tribes of Israel. Genesis, or Bereshit 35, verse 24, and chapter 46, verse 15 to 18. Her maid Bilhah is ancestor of two more. Genesis 35, verse 25, and Genesis 46, verses 23 and 24. Her marriage. When Yaakov goes to Mesopotamia to find a wife from his mother's family, the line of Terah, he meets the shepherd Rahel at a well. He waters her flock, kisses her, and announces their kinship. For Yaakov is both Laban's nephew through his mother Rebekah and his second cousin through his father. Rahel runs home to tell of his presence, and Laban invites Yaakov to the house. Genesis 29, verses 9 to 14. Yaakov loves Rachel and arranges to marry her and to work 7 years as her bride well. At the wedding, however, Laban substitutes Leah, his older daughter, for Rahel, explaining that it was not the custom to give the younger in marriage first. He promises Rahel to Yaakov at the end of the week of the wedding feast, on the proviso that Yaakov work another 7 years to pay off a second bride price. Like Sarah and Rebekah before her, Rahel experiences a long period of barrenness. The infertility of the matriarchs has two effects. It heightens the drama of the birth of the eventual son, marking Isaac, Yaakov, and Joseph as special. And it emphasizes that pregnancy is an act of Elohim. For when Elohim saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, giving Leah 4 sons. Rahel, envious of her sister, forcefully demands children from Yaakov. Give me children or I shall die. Genesis chapter 30, verse 1. Yaakov is incensed or upset, declaring that he can do nothing because it is Elohim who has denied Rahel children. As a consequence of her demand, Yaakov agrees to her plan to give Bilhah, whom her father had given her, to Jacob as a wife. Efforts to bear children. Jacob already has children, but Rachel herself wishes to acquire children through her surrogate, as does Bilhah. The plan works, and Rachel names the child Dan, explaining, Elohim judged, that is, vindicated me. Genesis 30, verse 5 and 6. Still competing with her sister, Rachel has Bilhah bear another son, whom she names Naphtali, meaning I have prevailed, in reference to the contest with her sister that she has been waging and winning. The competition between the sisters, or co-wives, continues as Leah gives her maid Zilpah in turn. Despite the birth of children to these surrogates, Rachel and Leah still want to conceive their own. A turning point comes when Leah's son Reuben finds mandrakes. A mandrake root, which looks like a newborn baby, was often considered a fertility charm and an aphrodisiac. Rachel wants the mandrakes, and she has something that Leah wants even more than mandrakes. She has occupancy of Jacob's bed and trades a night with him for the mandrakes. When they reach an agreement, Leah announces to Jacob that she has hired him. Co-wives are normally rivals, which is perhaps why biblical law forbids a man from marrying sisters. Leviticus 18:18. But when the co-wives cooperate, Yaakov, like other husbands, complies with their wishes. This agreement proves fruitful for both wives. Leah bears 3 more children. Finally, after 11 children have been born to Jacob, Rachel bears a son and names him Yosef. He adds, her 2 explanations for the name reveal her state of mind. Elohim has taken away my reproach, and may the Lord add to me another son. In the very moment of relief and joy, she is not satisfied. She wants more. Rachel, like Jacob, is simply not content with what is given her. Her lack of satisfaction becomes clear when the family leaves Laban and sets out for the land of Canaan or Canaan. Like Rebekah before them, both sisters actively agreed to leave for Canaan. At the same time, they both expressed their anger at their father, who never gave them any of the bright wealth earned by Jacob's 14 years of service for them. A plan to trick Yaakov. But Rachel alone takes action. She steals her father's teraphim, his household gods. Genesis 31, verse 19. Her behavior often bears a shadowy resemblance to Jacob's. Jacob supplanted his elder sibling, but Rachel didn't succeed in supplanting hers at marriage. Jacob had received Esau's birthright. Rachel takes the teraphim, which may have had something to do with property rights, perhaps to secure some inheritance, or they may have been primarily religious images intended to invoke the protection of the ancestors. In either case, possession of the teraphim was the prerogative of the head of household. Laban would never have given them to her, and he comes looking for them. Unaware of what Rahel has done, Yaakov takes an oath that anyone with whom you find your gods will not live. Genesis 31, verse 32. The reader knows what Yaakov does not, that Rahel has taken the gods and is now in danger, not only from her father, but also from the oath. Laban must not find the gods. Rahel, a trickster like her father, her Aunt Rebecca and her husband, thinks of a stratagem. She places the gods under her seat and declines to rise because she is menstruating. Her womanhood, perhaps, disqualifies her from receiving the teraphim legitimately, so she uses her womanhood to prevent her father from taking them away once she has taken them illegitimately. In the end, Rahel's stratagem comes to naught. She could not keep the teraphim, for Yaakov commands his household to bury or put away all their foreign gods, which almost certainly would include this teraphim. More tragically, in a sad irony, the very womanhood that has helped her trick Laban thwarts her daring and her ambition in a way that has plagued women through the ages. Finally, fertile, she dies bearing her second child, Benjamin. Yaakov buries her where she died, in her own tomb, and not in the ancestral tomb in Machpelah. There is one more twist to the story. Rachel, who died young, becomes an image of tragic womanhood. Her tomb remained as a landmark. See 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 2, and a testimony to her. She and Leah were remembered as the two who together built up the house of Israel. Ruth 4, verse 11. Rahel was the ancestress of the northern kingdom, which was called Ephraim after Joseph's son. After Ephraim and Benjamin were exiled by the Assyrians, Rahel was remembered as the classic mother who mourns and intercedes for her children. More than 100 years after the exile of the north, Jeremiah had a vision of Rahel still mourning, still grieving for her lost children. Moreover, he realized that her mourning served as an effective intercession, for Elohim promised to reward her efforts and return her children. Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 15 to 21. After the biblical period, Mother Rachel continued to be celebrated as a powerful intercessor for the people of Israel. This article is from the Jewish Women's Archive, which I give credit